Should we just get going?
Let's just jump into it.
Welcome to the Pitch of Discontent. You are watching the weekly Roundup. I am Owen.
And I am the bitch of discontent. Owen asked me to say that.
You've been holding on to that one for a while.
You asked me to hold on to that. Specifically,
no,
you were like, that's hilarious. That's the funniest thing I've ever said. Could you please refer to yourself as that for that show?
What the fuck is that voice you're doing?
Is that not exactly what he sounds like?
How dare you?
Back me up here, guys. Wow.
This is episode 199.
Oh, shit.
So we are
on the precipice.
On the precipice of episode 200.
Teetering on the edge of 200.
Although, as I've mentioned before, we've done a bunch of Dispatch Bay episodes as well. So, like, by the count, we've done more than 200, but by the actual number 200 is on the way. So
there's like a version where we mush all those little mini boys into one big one and it adds and we're already over 200.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, we don't need to get into the nitty gritty details.
No, we don't. Thanks for riding with us. Thanks for watching the show. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for being our besties.
We've got a bunch of banger tracks to get through this week. Got some fun ones, some ones that I'm super excited to talk about. Paige, do you have anything you want to mention at the top of the show?
Just that, you know, now that the interview with Claudio Sanchez is out in the wild.
It is, yes.
Apologies for my terrible camera work. Owen did some really good editing on that and it looks so solid, but some of you might have picked up on like just how dumb and excited I was to be doing that interview in the first place, and the fact that I have ADHD and can't sit still at the best of times.
Yeah.
So like for sure was kind of dumb to hold the camera, but it was just an awkward room.
Yeah.
So it was like the best way to film it.
It was an awkward setup, but I think you did fine considering the circumstances.
He's
and
my like biggest cheerleader.
And it wasn't that much of a problem in the edit.
Okay.
I tried to use like software tools to do it and it just made it way more janky. And I was like, I'm just going to do this by edit.
Yeah,
just
fair
by
enough.
like manually, and it was fine. So
yeah, I mean, it looks great.
Thank you.
It looks really good. You did it.
Yeah, the episode's doing really well. People seem to really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I'm stoked that we got a chance to chat to Claudio.
Me too. It was pretty kind of like a full circle moment, as we mentioned in the episode.
Highly recommend checking it out. I might throw a link up to the episode here in this current episode, so you may see that somewhere
over there.
We'll figure that out later. Oh, that's a post Owen problem. But speaking of Coheed, we do have a new track to talk about. You have yet to listen to it.
I did it. Yeah, I made it. And Owen did not make it easy too. He was like, it's so good every day. And I was like, bitch, shh. I'm trying to hold off on this. So I was just listening to other Coheed and Cambria songs to satiate, which is definitely risky because Apple Music, Spotify, would autoplay it for sure.
Yeah. Well, we should just get into the main show then and just kind of chat about it. I don't have any shout outs or anything. Like,
shout out to anyone we forgot about. We love you.
Yeah, we love you all. Let's just get into the main show.
Okay.
Let's go. All right, we on?
Once upon your dead body.
First up, we have an exciting announcement. We have the sophomore album from metalcore juggernaut Spiritbox.
Who is that?
Who have finally announced the follow-up to their debut album, Eternal Blue, which came out in 2021.
And can I just say, as people who, you know, listen to I Wrestled a Bear Once and stuff, which I know most of you probably are, how shit was it waiting for that to drop finally? Like, they would just release a sick fucking track out of nowhere and it would be insane, holy roller. And then you're like, okay, but where's the LP? Like, give, mommy, give, please.
Mom. Mother.
Yes.
So the new album, follow-up to Eternal Blue, is called Tsunami Sea.
Yeah.
It's due out on March 7th through Pale Chord and Rise Records. It was produced by Dan Braunstein, who's like a returning collaborator. It was also produced by Mike Stringer, who's the guitarist in the band, mixed by Zach Savini, mastered by Ted Jansen. So a couple of big heavy hitters on the production there. It'll include Soft Spine, which is a track that we have
Love
featured
Soft
on
Spine.
the
Listen to
show
it all the time. That rhymed. So
It
did that.
It did. Very
Unintentional.
good. So that one received a lot of praise for kind of the crushing intensity and a return to that holy roller form that you were talking about.
For sure. Plus, people with scoliosis can relate.
Soft spines.
Well, there's just like not enough representation for spine disabledness.
Yeah, okay. And the band have also been nominated for a second Grammy.
Yeah, that's insane.
For Best Metal Performance. They didn't win last time, but they've been nominated again for a second time.
We didn't shout out the ARIA Awards, which were last week.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, that's actually what we were going to talk about in our preamble.
Yeah.
Too late now.
Oh, well.
Basically, in
Shout out to
short,
Speed.
they're really dumb categories, and that's our main confusion with the people who literally define music in Australia to define it so weirdly in the particular categories that we're interested in.
Having Speed win Best Hard Rock or Heavy Metal album is like, what?
I would have been okay with like alternative music or rock. That would be a better blanket definition for all the bands that have won that award.
At least the Grammys, it makes sense. Like Spiritbox being up for Best Metal Performance is like, sure, metal's broad. You can lump a whole bunch of different stuff under that umbrella. Fine. But
you couldn't put like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard in that.
They have like a metal album, but they're not a metal band.
Yeah, I just feel like it's unfair to those like rock artists when you have a band like Speed who is so good. Like they deserved to win for sure.
100%. Well deserved. Shout out to the team.
It's just it's wild to me. I really wish that we better defined, in a lot of ways I don't really like genre kind of quabbling, to be honest, which is so funny because I do a lot of it, but
quabbling,
it's just like emo is actually specifically referencing anyway.
Yeah. As a music writer, yes, I am familiar with this conversation.
But I just think that, we should have more crystal clear definitions within award ceremonies. That's all. Like, it'd be just really cool to see more recognition, especially because, and this isn't just my opinion, the best music coming out of this country right now, according to the world, is alternative music.
Yes.
So maybe stop being like so dismissive of it. It's just like, come on, guys. We're bringing home the fucking bag at the moment. Can you relax? Like I am too. I am actually a member of Speed.
Spiritbox nominated for their second Grammy. They are going to join Bring Me the Horizon on a bunch of stadium shows in Brazil and Mexico. So that's fucking crazy. And then they're going to do...
That is crazy. And such a good opening act for Bring Me the Horizon.
Yeah. And then they're doing their own headline tour across Europe next year. And then they've also been announced as support for Linkin Park's world tour. So they're crushing it. They're doing crazy good. Let's have a listen to the new single, though. This is Spiritbox, Perfect Soul.
Let's do this.
Let's go.
So cover up the way. Her gift to someone is free. Imitation of the perfect soul. I shine light into 1,000 eyes, all watching, waiting.
Hello.
Hey. All right. What did you think?
I loved it. Shocking. This just in. Paige is a Spiritbox fan. Yeah, no, I thought it was really cool. I think that there's like a bit of this lean into more of this like airy, breathy, like they've always been very melodic, but vocally, I think that we're going for like a less is more type thing here where it's like, she's very much in the song for the entire duration of the song. Nothing gets instrumental, but she's using like these elongated notes with a lot of like that back of the throat breathy sort of, like air, like live sounding mix.
Yeah.
It's not overly different for them. Like we're not exactly like Divorce. It's pretty on brand, but I just think that they've gone a little bit more, dare I say, shoegaze with it.
Yeah, I think they're definitely leaning into.
I don't say shoegaze, by the way. It's not shoegaze.
It's the bit. It's the joke. No, I think you're right. Like to pair the singles, like Soft Spine and this together, I think is very intentional because it's like we still have the heavy aspect. We can still have a song that's just Courtney fucking going hard for the entire duration.
For sure, that's what Soft Spine was.
Yeah, but then we also have a track like this, which is showing off her melodic range, showing off the band's dynamism. You've got Mike's, staccato, fucking like genty kind of riffage in the background.
Insanity.
It all kind of works, and it is very kind of reminiscent of what they were doing on the first record, because he had Holy Roller paired with some of the more like melodic tracks.
I would say that that's what they do overall.
Well, that is kind of their whole shtick. And I think like they've definitely experimented with different sounds. Like on the EPs between the records, they've definitely lent into some more kind of like, I don't know, new metal-y sort of sounding stuff. Fear of Fear had some really kind of melodic tracks on it. So like they've definitely kind of pushed the sound in some different places. But as far as I can tell from these singles, the album is sounding like a very close spiritual successor and follow-up to Eternal Blue.
I still think they're doing very like some different experimental things with it.
Yeah,
not diving in head first.
No.
And I mean, that's smart. That's how you introduce different styles because you don't want to alienate your fan base by changing up completely.
No.
So you kind of have to do it in drips and drabs.
And like we were talking about, like they've gone from strength to strength in terms of like the size of shows that they're playing, like playing more stadium shows, playing to more like mainstream kind of audiences. So like I don't see them like completely softening their sound, but definitely making stuff as accessible as they can, but staying true to kind of what Spiritbox is. Yeah,
I think that's true. And I like the way they do that. I like that instead of, going into a more, like metalcore with a lot of clean throughout it, they just do one song that's really heavy and one song that's, a bit more clean. And that's sick because it means that everyone gets a bit of the pie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
I would encourage other bands to do the same because some days I want to listen to you while I'm jogging, but some days I want to listen to you while I'm crying.
Following that up, I have Recommend that slid in very late into my compiling for this week's episode. So shout out to Justin over at 31G for sending this over.
Thank you, Justin.
New band is called Haunted Horses, and they're an industrial punk trio hailing from Seattle.
Okay.
They have a relentless, chaotic sound. They're kind of pushing the boundaries of like post-punk, noise rock,
and they're
industrial.
Horse girls.
And they're all horse girls.
They're all horse girls, and that's the shtick.
The album bio kind of compares their sound to, I guess, like influential bands like Swans, Killing Joke. I would also say that if you're into more contemporary stuff like Chat Pile.
Is Killing Joke a
Mode.
reference to like the Killing Smile, like the Joker comics?
I'm not entirely sure. I think the Killing Joke might predate that particular run of like DC comics. And I think maybe it's the other way around.
Possible?
Yeah.
I thought
it might be
DC comics predated religion.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to double check which one is which one was first. But I feel like Killing Joke started in like the late 80s, and I'm not sure when that particular comic run is. I think it was maybe like the early 90s.
DC's, that specific run is what you mean? Yeah, who knows? I don't even know.
No.
It looks like very modern artwork to me. I've only ever flicked through it when I was that like cranky comic book shop clerk that didn't want to serve anyone.
But yeah, so if you're into stuff like Swans or Killing Joke, but also stuff like Chat Pile and Ken Mode, I think this would be right up your alley. So the band's new studio album is called Dweller, and it's available on January 10th through 31G Records. I've got a little quote from the bio that I think is quite telling. So it says, quote, "The album is a spiritual successor to their previous work, delving into intense, unsettling themes with renewed vigor. the fear and anxiety tied to the obliteration of oneself or identity, and the unknown outcome of this disillusion. The concepts came through a series of meditations, some of which didn't make sense until the process was complete.
Ah, yes, ego death.
Yeah, love a good ego death. Let's have a listen to the lead single from the record. This is Haunted Horses, Grey Imminence.
All right, let's check it out.
Let's go.
Ooh.
There's a lot going on, but I think it's like fucking cool and dark and gritty.
Metallic.
Yeah.
Like
There's that bit,
grindy.
that kind of like last 30 seconds to a minute where that fucking just like cement mixer bass tone
Comes
comes
up
in, but it's
really
just like
overpowering. And it's very intentionally like blown out and distorted.
It's good.
It feels
You
like
know that this would just like fucking cave your head in
I feel
live.
like my teeth would ache afterwards. You know what I mean?
Definitely teeth rattling
Yeah,
for
for
sure.
sure. Mm.
Yeah. No, this is really, really sick. And I love that this kind of like noise rock sound. I don't even want to say it's having a revival because like I feel like
Where did it ever go?
where did it ever go? It's always just been like percolating throughout
We've
the underground.
always all listened to it, let's face it. It's
Yeah.
just that for some reason we're all talking about it at the moment.
But no, I think bands like Chat Pile and stuff have really kind of like, I don't know, surfaced a lot of people's like love for that kind of sound.
Totally.
And I mean, like these guys, Haunted Horses, they've been working for like the last like decade or more, I think.
Yeah.
You know, Justin sending this through like kind of put them on my radar. And then I was like looking back through the
You're
old
like,
records.
I've been sleeping on this.
And I've been sleeping on this a
Yeah,
little
for
bit.
sure.
But yeah, Dweller's sounding fucking cool as shit.
Yeah, it's really interesting the way that, I mean, they spoke about like doing these massive meditation sessions and stuff like that. And I do love the kind of music that comes out of that because I grew up as a new age girly and I can hear like a lot of that influence
Yeah.
in the kind of like sound related meditative sessions that you can do.
Sure.
And I love seeing that come through music because
Yeah.
it means that like in a way you're incorporating what already creates the state that you need to be in to meditate into your music, thus meaning people will connect better with your music.
Yeah. And I just think it's an interesting contrast too, because when you think about like, oh, this came about through like meditation, you think about like quiet, soothing, kind
No,
of
I
stuff.
don't.
And this is like the fucking end of the world or a black hole.
When you have like the kind of brain, you know, the first thing any like yoga class you do or meditative course you do, they'll be like quieten your mind. Not a thing for a lot of people, specifically the neurodivergent community. Like
the spicy crowd.
it just won't ever be quiet in there, man. The monkey will be hitting the fucking Anyway, point being is like music or sound related meditation is really good for stuff like that because you won't be ever able to quiet your mind, but you often can get into a rhythmic sort of trance with music like this still. And you're usually more susceptible to it than anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, even though this might be antithetical to like the definition of what people think is a stereotypical meditation, it's actually very on brand and super helpful. Like I was immediately just like, it's good.
Yeah, we love a good drone, don't we, folks?
We do love a good drone.
Switching things up, we have a comeback of sorts from Meanjin Brisbane-based metalers The Brave. Hey
Dan.
Hey Dan,
Love
what's
you.
up? Friend of the show, Dan Newcomb.
Slept over last night.
The band are returning from a hiatus of sorts. They put out a record in 2019 called Aura. And then they released like a reimagined kind of record and then kind of like timed a hiatus perfectly with the pandemic.
Yeah.
And then have kind of just like rode out that period to
I can't
kind of come back to
imagine
things.
my adult life without the Brave.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because they like as soon as I got out of high school, that's when they kind of became a band around that time. And then it was just like they were playing like all of the shitty dive bars that I frequented in like all of my 20s.
Yeah.
And then I kind of dipped out. And then Owen and I started dating each other, and Dan photographs everyone's weddings. Every person
He's
I know.
the busy boy.
Every single one.
Yeah.
So it's like this weird little like, this band's just always been in my life, you know?
Yeah.
And I only know Dan. Hey, rest of the band. How's it going?
I did an interview with Nate like
Yes.
years ago,
Yeah.
I think for their first record, which was a cool chat. Nate's a cool guy.
Come back on the show.
And I know.
Well, I mean, come on the show.
Come on the show.
Yeah.
Yes. So they have a new single out. It's called Breaking Out, which is kind of a tongue in cheek, I guess, for what they're doing. You know, breaking out of hiatus, breaking back into things.
Yes.
They've got a sci-fi inspired music video for this one,
Ooh.
filmed by Ten of Swords Media's Colin Jeffs, who has done stuff for friends of the show Red Hook and Future Static. Pretty much the best music video director in
for
Australia at the
sure,
moment.
yeah.
So Colin's done a crazy job on the film clip for this one. The band are also going to be joining In Heart's Wake on tour early next year.
They're very
So
excited.
Pretty excited for them to get back out, play some live shows, play some of this new music. I've also heard a snippet of another new song, which is even heavier than this one. So they're back. They're cooking.
Owen's heard it before. It was cool.
Oh, sorry. I'm just saying, let the boys cook. Is what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
I'm really stoked about that tour too, because it's one of those ones where they're like getting out into the sticks.
Couple of
and
little regional areas
sure.
and stuff. Yeah.
you guys got to get north. You know what I mean? Like that's how you build a fan base. Get
Yeah.
out there in front of the kids.
But let's have a listen to their comeback. This is The Brave, Breaking Out.
Let's do it. That was sick.
It's super sick.
Holy shit.
They've come back with, I don't want to say like more energy. Like they definitely have energetic tracks, but they sound hungry. You know,
Yes.
they sound like they got something to say. Sound like they got some energy. That might be one of my favorite hooks that Nate's kind of like ever done in the
Yeah.
band. He's sounding fantastic, and the rest of the band just sound like they're having fun with it. Like it's very energetic, very playful.
There's like a very am I using this word right? Copacetic vibe. Like, is that right?
In what way?
Everything seems to be connected and working together so
Okay.
perfectly.
I mean, I would probably say cohesive,
Cohesive.
over copacetic, but you
Perhaps
could say
that's-
copacetic.
I mean, I did. So we're
You
fucking
can.
here, dog.
You may.
But it just feels like really like they're all on the same page.
Yes.
There's been a like crystal clear destination that they're going with the song, and
Yeah.
that's what I like about it.
It's
But
also
I've always felt that way about their music, to be
it's
honest.
also kind of giving hints as to like the other stuff that they're working on. And like I've only heard that little snippet of like another new song, which is a little bit more aggressive and a bit heavier, but I think they're definitely coming back with a little bit more urgency, a little bit
sure.
more kind of vitality in their sound, which is awesome. So
I mean, I just want to see this. This is a great live song.
totally.
Straight off the bat, I could see a sick light show going off to this.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at with this song.
Yeah. And I mean like
The energy is there and you can feel it and you're like, this is the kind of shit that ends with like people swinging off the roof somehow. And you're
Yeah.
like, what's going on? But like, that's the kind of energy this would bring to a live
Totally.
show.
yeah. And I mean like as Dan told us, like they're getting ready to play some of this new stuff live. They want to see how it connects with people. And I think this one's going to go off.
I think so too. Yeah. Certainly connected with me. You know what I mean? I'll be swinging from the roof.
Speaking of metalcore, we have a new album from the OGs, Killswitch Engage.
Which is crazy because they have been all I've been listening to for a couple weeks. I
Yeah.
just, I love this fucking band. And every now and then I'll just be like, yeah.
Well,
They
this
were
year,
on a dad rock playlist that I saw though.
I mean, I was about to say this year is their 25th anniversary as a band.
Hurtful and
So-
wrong. Of Time? Time shouldn't have done that.
Fuck you, Time.
Fuck you, Time. You're a prick.
The band's new album is called This Consequence, and it arrives on February 21st through Metal Blade Records. This will be the band's 9th studio album
Sure.
and their 4th since Jesse Leach's
Jesse
return to the
Came on
band.
back over. We miss you, Howard. Love you.
Yeah, but
Jesse's sick too, though. Don't get me wrong.
But they're all mates. They collab.
They're all buds.
They do stuff.
I have had very many deep conversations comparing like how great both of those vocal tracks are in their own right.
Yeah.
And then specifically what's the difference? Like what does each bring? And that is on being a fucking Killswitch Engage nerd.
Yes.
We've all been there.
I've got a quote from Jesse about this new record. So he says, quote, "This Consequence to me is the combination of everything the past 5 years has thrown at us as a band, as humans, and society as a whole." And he has
Society be society.
It's a fucking pandemic record. God
it
damn
does do that society stuff sometimes.
Continuing on, he says, "This album is just as much about everybody and their stories as it is for me about my journey personally. Sonically, I love the combination of everybody's ideas and contributions on this album. It feels
Cute.
more like a collaboration than the past few records have been. Interesting. When all is said and done, I wouldn't change anything about this album. I think it's the exact record we needed to make. I'm honored and proud that we're all able to create and refine through this music and message." So that's cool.
I love the confidence. You know, it's like, yeah, no, I
This
left
is-
that studio and there's no notes left.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah, hard to do.
Interesting that he says that it feels more collaborative than the last few records. Because I particularly liked Incarnate, which was a pretty fucking sick record. Didn't really vibe with Atonement as much, so maybe that's kind of the one that he's talking about, the most recent record.
Atonement, yeah.
But I thought Incarnate was great. So
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I've always thought this was, does he mean collaborative in regards to like outside collaborations as opposed to
I mean,
inner?
hard to know. It doesn't really expand on it in the quote, but I would say like within the members and their like songwriting.
Okay,
So
that's interesting.
it is interesting.
Can Jesse write every instrument?
No. I mean, he probably can. I don't know.
That's really cool.
But anyway, let's have a listen to the lead single from the record. This is Killswitch Engage, Forever Aligned.
Okay, let's check this out. We are alive. It's Theatre Kids.
A little bit of that D in there.
Yeah, I got that Adam D.
Remember when you would go to
Diddy.
shows, and particularly metalcore shows, and everyone would do this because they wanted the little guitar solos, the little arpeggios. So like, do this.
I always thought that was Gammon, just so you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This shit's off its head, though.
I think it's a great track.
If you listen to a song and you're immediately transported to a time where like someone would have kicked your ass for being like a loser for listening to music, and that doesn't fill you with joy, you should really reevaluate how cool that is that you were that guy.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel.
This definitely sounds like peak Killswitch material.
For sure.
Jesse sounds great. The lyrics are definitely like Killswitch related, like about empowerment and kind of like overcoming struggle and
For
stuff,
sure.
which is like stuff that Howard was singing about and also
For
stuff
sure.
that Jesse is definitely focused on. So like very like on brand
Relatable content.
for the band.
Yeah.
Couple of little like real heavy moments in there, like a
think
couple of
that-
those like jun 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 jun
Yeah.
jun jun
My
jun
favorite
chuggy
thing
bits.
about this band is like usually for me, as someone who sings, I like singing along to songs.
Mhm.
I always end up singing along to the riffs of Killswitch Engage
Yes.
songs, you know? Like,
I mean, Adam can write one hell of a hook. So
yeah, I mean, I presume that's him.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't watched that documentary in a long ass time, but
I was talking about this the other day. We should
Yeah.
rewatch it. I
Yeah,
love that
Abigail,
taco. It's
for
great.
sure. Yeah, I don't know. it's a lot more fun and lighthearted than the Misery Signals doco. So
It just makes me cry.
every time you cry, yeah,
It's brutal.
for sure. It's Owen's notebook.
It is my
It's your notebook.
Yeah, looking forward to hearing more stuff from the record. Keen to have them back. I just think, it's Killswitch. What
Who
else?
could be mad at
What else do you want me
Killswitch?
to say?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, I've got another one for side A this week. It's Coheed. It's your boys. Why are you leaning out of frame, Doug? What's going on?
Put my shirt in front.
Oh, the Monolith shirt.
I'm
Go
wearing the tour shirt.
So they have finally announced their forthcoming album, which is the one that Claudio hinted at very heavily in our interview.
Some of his all-time favorite songs are on this album.
Correct.
Interesting to note.
Which is pretty wild.
Crazy. They got a crazy discography.
Yes.
Mm.
Forthcoming album is the third in the Vaxxus series, which is a continuation of
Sorry, continue.
continuation of the Amory Wars saga. So the official title is Vaxxus Act 3, The Father of Make Believe. And it is coming out on March 14th next year. So we knew that the album was coming because we watched the Q&A with Claudio at Monolith Festival, and then we got a chance to interview him. And in both sessions,
Because we're cool.
he mentioned the new record, and he mentioned loving the new record, and that it has some of his
desperately wishing he could talk about it, but he couldn't.
Yes, and doing that anyway.
And there's something to be said about that kind of like giddy excitement an artist
Very much
has
so.
about their new release. It's like, okay, there's some good shit coming.
Yeah.
You know?
So this one follows up 2022's Vaxxus Act 2, Window of the Waking Mind, which is a great record.
Incredible.
Had some really, really good tracks on that one. I've got a fairly lengthy quote here from Claudio talking about the new album. And he's specifically talking about the most recent single, which we will get to in a second, which is called Searching for Tomorrow. So Claudio says, quote, "This song is a reminder that always looking for something better in your life robs you of being able to appreciate the good things you already have. With every album, I try to outdo the one before, or at least make something that sounds different and evolved in some way. I found Window to be such a quintessential record for the band, so it was extremely difficult for me to envision a follow-up. I think that initial struggle added to the feeling of having a kind of musical midlife crisis, this constant internal battle of searching for creative release and growth. The being unsure if it's the right path. This one took more effort in the beginning, but in the end, I think the digging was worth it for the subsequent surge." So
That's crazy.
he's kind of talking about, like,
What have I got left to say?
what do I have left to say? How do I outdo something that I hold in such high regard? And I will say that, like, we talked about Blindside Sunny on the show and with him in our interview, like a completely different sound for Coheed and pulling from, his like kind of teenage, young adult life and stuff that he got into as a kid and bringing that, not nostalgic in like a bad way, but just kind of like trying to find something youthful and vital and bring that into the Coheed sound, which I think he did.
I think he did, absolutely.
This single might be my favorite Coheed track in years. It's really, really good.
But Dark Sentencer came out like a few.
I don't want to keep gassing it up.
This is a lot. I haven't listened to it yet. I know I said that earlier. I just want to say it again because I'm really proud of that. I have bad impulse control.
All right. Well, let's just listen to it, and then you can tell me what you think on the back end. This is
What
Coheed
if I
and Cambria.
hate it? Oh shit!
This is Coheed and Cambria, Searching for Tomorrow.
Let's do it.
Searching for tomorrow, misunderstood. When you headed straight into the flames, lifted to it, you rattled your mind. It's so good to let go, so good to let go. Let them know it's by design.
I think this just cured my seasonal depression.
It's so good.
It's really, really good.
It's just incredibly catchy.
yeah,
Really, really good songwriting.
for sure.
I love when tracks have like a really, really good chorus, and that first chorus is like half.
Mm.
Gives you just like a taste of like the melody and the progression, but it stops it and then goes straight into the second verse.
Sure.
Kind of like gives you like a little bit of a what am I calling, like suspension of like ready for this to come. So then by the time it hits the second chorus,
it edges you a little.
It edges you. This is musical edging. It's so good, and it's just like, you know, like Claudio is Claudio. Sounds fantastic. Lyrically, like it's just like super simple and catchy.
The thing with these like singles that they tend to release is they're catchy, but not in a way that's often that apparent. So like I remember like I think like not a very poppy example, but Dark Side of Me, when I first heard that song, I think I was like, I played it, you and I listened to it in the car, and you were like, oh yeah, so what do you reckon of this record? And I was like, you know, I haven't listened to it enough yet to like make up my mind, but I think I love it. And then we were playing it and I knew all the words. So like even I hadn't figured out how much I loved it yet. Do you know what I mean? And I think that this is the same here. It's like, it's catchy and it's super up, like it's a really incredibly written song and it's poignant and it hits, but I don't even think I'm going to realize how much so until like I listen to it again next time and I already know all the words. Like that's the cool subtlety of this band for me.
And I think like, as kind of not even a counterpoint to that, but an additional point is like, what I love about Coheed is like their discography is so rich,
and diverse,
and it just shows like the versatility of the band. Like they can do a 10-minute progressive song in multiple acts that takes you on this big, elaborate kind of narrative journey. And like if you want to prog out over that sort of shit, you absolutely can.
I do.
But then they can also write a very concise,
great pop song,
perfectly executed pop rock song in standard structure in 3 minutes and have it be super immediate, urgent, and catchy. And I think that just speaks to their versatility. Like they can do the fucking grandiose shit, they can do the simple, immediate shit, and they do it both impeccably well.
And often in the same album.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, Blindside Sunny is like, maybe a couple of seconds over 2 minutes. Like it's short and it's a punk rock song.
The way that I group, there's two different types of Coheed songs. And it's like, if you've read the Amory Wars, you can generally tell it's like perspective, right? Like, are we talking about a villain or are we talking about one of our heroes, or are we talking about like one of our heroes in their darkest moments? And that's the two groups of songs that you can hear from this band. And that's what you're describing, is like this ability to be this like pop rock uplifting, fun track, but then pivot over and be like these dark, gritty, very progressive.
Well, we already know Blindside Sunny was introducing a new villain for this act of the Vaxxer saga.
For sure.
And then I would hazard to bet that Searching for Tomorrow perhaps is about a hero and is about them being at a particular point in their journey where they are up to no good and they're trying to find a better way and they're going through that
the redemption arc.
Correct.
Yes. And as we know, often Claudio uses that as like a conduit for his writing to be able to express like what is going on for him in his life. And he is very much like a father and a husband at this point. So it's just like there's so many layers. It's like an ogre, you know, or an onion.
Yes, indeed. That wraps up side A for this week. If you would like to watch the rest of the show, head on over to patreon.com/tpdpod. We have 5 more tracks. We got a feature album, which is a fucking doozy, so you don't want to miss that. Come join us. Watch the rest of the show.
Please.
All right. See ya.
See you.
Bye. Subscribe now to the Pitch of Discontent Patreon to receive access to extended cuts of our bonus episodes, as well as exclusive behind-the-scenes content, monthly Patreon-only episodes, member-only votes, the TPD community chat, and much more. Go now to patreon.com/tpdpod and join for as little as $5 a month. That link again is patreon.com/tpdpod. Thanks for watching the show.